Welcome to the BlockReel Film Industry Podcast, your daily source for cinematography insights, production strategies, and the latest from the independent film world.
Today is a massive day for the editorial team here. We have essentially been living in a cave for the last 6 months, crunching numbers and interviewing programmers, and we are finally ready to talk about it.
We really have. Today we are previewing our upcoming Pillar Guide, Film Festival Strategy, the complete submission and premiere guide. We've had our heads buried in data, programmer interviews, submission stats for weeks, and honestly, some of the findings were a bit of a wake-up call, even for us.
It really was. You think you know how the circuit works because you've been in the industry for a while, and then you see the raw numbers from the 2025 season, and you realize the game has completely changed.
It really has.
So before we get into the weeds, you definitely want to follow us on X and subscribe to the blog at blockreeltodell.com/blog. Do it immediately. You are going to want the notification when the full text of this guide drops, because what we're covering today is just, it's the tip of the iceberg.
So let's unpack this. When we started developing the framework for this guide, we identified a really painful pattern. It seems like the default setting for most filmmakers, even really polished ones with great films, is to finish the cut, open up FilmFreeway, and just start clicking submit on every festival they've ever heard of.
We call it the spray and pray. And statistically, based on the budget analysis we ran, it is the most efficient way to let your money on fire.
Right.
The core philosophy of this guy, the rule we put on page 1 is that you cannot submit a single film until you can articulate why you are doing it. And I want people to see my movie isn't a strategy.
No, that's a wish.
That's a wish. Exactly.
So we broke this down into 3 macro strategies in the guide. And I think distinguishing these is crucial because they require completely different tactical approaches. The first one is the sales and distribution track. This is what everyone thinks they're doing.
Exactly. This is the lottery ticket approach. If your primary goal is to get an acquisition executive to sign a check, you are targeting a tiny list of A-list markets. We're talking Sundance, Cannes, SXSW, Berlin, maybe TIFF.
That's pretty much the list.
That is where the industry brings their checkbooks. But we have to be realistic about the math here.
We pulled the data for Sundance 2025. It was sobering.
It was. Roughly 16,000 submissions. They programmed fewer than 100 features. You're looking at an acceptance rate of what, less than 1%?
Less than 1%.
So if you are banking your entire promotional budget on getting into one of those 5 festivals, you are statistically betting against the house. And if you don't get in and you haven't planned for anything else, your film is dead in the water.
Which brings us to the second lane, which I think is where a lot of emerging careers are actually built, career advancement. This is a totally different mindset.
This is the smart play for new directors. You aren't chasing a sale, you're chasing a relationship.
Yep.
You prioritize festivals known for their labs, their pitching forums, or just having a reputation for talent discovery. These might be smaller, regional festivals. Think about places like Palm Springs or specialized events like Clermont-Ferrand for shorts. If the programmers there have the ear of agents or bigger festivals, that laurel is worth more than a premiere at a flashy event where you just get lost in the noise.
And the third lane is audience building, which is, purely about genre.
Exactly. If you made a slasher film, why are you fighting for a slot at a drama-heavy art house festival? It doesn't make sense.
Take it to Fantasia.
Take it to Fantasia. Take it to Sitges. Go where the fans actually buy tickets. That's why we developed the tier system for the guide.
I love the God spreadsheet concept we mentioned in the tools section. It's basically the homework assignment for this entire deep dive.
It's mandatory. You create a spreadsheet and categorize your targets. Tier 1 is your prestige shots, or moonshots. Tier 2 is regional powerhouses and Oscar-qualifying festivals, places like Seattle or Nashville. These are festivals that have gravity. Tier 3 is your niche or local events. You need a portfolio approach. You can't just bet the farm on Tier 1.
There was a specific pro tip in the research section that I thought was brilliant, the reverse engineer method.
Yeah.
It really takes the guesswork out of building that list.
That's my favorite actionable tip we found. Instead of guessing where your film fits, find data. Identify 3 to 5 films that are similar to your similar budget, similar genre, maybe a similar tone or vibe.
Okay.
Then go to IMDb or their websites and map out exactly where they premiered and where they went next.
So if a gritty, low-budget crime drama from 3 years ago premiered at a specific regional fest and did well, that programmer is already primed for your movie.
Precisely. You aren't asking them to take a risk. You're offering them something you already know they like. That list of 5 films becomes your blueprint. You're basically copying their homework, but it works.
Okay, let's move on to the geography of this, because premier status is one of those terms that scares people, and for good reason. It's so rigid.
It is a hierarchy, and you have to respect it. At the very top, you have the world premiere. This is the first time the film is shown publicly. For A-list festivals, this is non-negotiable.
Right.
If you screen at a local charity event in your hometown or a university showcase that is open to the public, you have burned your world premiere status.
And once it's burned, you can't get it back.
Gone forever. Below that is international, first time outside your country, then continental, national, regional, and city. The strategy we outline in the guide is called the stretch. You want to squeeze every drop of juice out of that status.
So if you land a world premiere at, say, SXXW, you don't just immediately book a festival in London the next week.
You could, but you'd be smarter to look for a festival that specifically wants your European premiere. You trade that exclusivity badge for a better slot, maybe a better screening time, or just more attention from their press team.
You leverage it.
You leverage it. You move across the globe, Asian premiere, South American premiere, keeping the film fresh for programmers for a year instead of 3 months.
Now, we have to talk about the trap. The post-pandemic era made this really confusing, but we need to be crystal clear. Online screenings.
This is the biggest red flag we found in our research. We see filmmakers ruin their runs with this constantly. If you put your film on YouTube or Vimeo with a public link, even for one day, even if it's just to show your grandma you have published the film, it is considered a public exhibition.
And that disqualifies you from, what? Pretty much everything.
Almost every reputable festival on the planet. They exist to show new work. If it's on the internet, it's old news. It doesn't matter if the view count is 0.
Does it matter if only 10 people click the link?
No, the internet is public domain. Well, now, to be clear, private password-protected links for sending to producers or programmers, those are totally fine.
Okay, standard practice.
Industry links are standard, but public is poison. We had a debate in the office about the gray areas. What about a cast and crew screening at a local theater? 50 people, no tickets sold. Does that burn the world premiere?
It's a common panic moment. The advice from the programmers we interviewed is transparency. Don't hide it. Email the festival and say, hey, we had a private screening for cast and crew, strictly internal. Is my world premiere status safe? 9 times out of 10, they will say yes.
But if you lie about it?
If you lie and they find out, and they often do because people post photos on Instagram, you're disqualified. Worse, you're blacklisted. It's a small industry.
Right.
But if you're honest, sometimes they might say, "Okay, we can't call it a world premiere, but we love the film, so we'll slot you in a non-competitive section." You still get the audience. You just lose the label. It's worth the conversation.
Let's shift to the section of the guide that hurts the most, the money. Budgeting for the circuit. We found that sticker shock is a real problem for first-timers.
It is significant. We analyzed the costs for a proper 12 to 30 festival campaign. You're looking at between $1,000 and $5,000 just in submission fees. That's before you even buy a plane ticket.
Just to click submit. Shorts are averaging $20 to $40. Features are $50 to $120. And here is where organization saves you money. The procrastination tax. If you miss the early deadline, fees jump by 30% to 70%.
Wow.
Being disorganized literally costs you thousands of dollars.
But the fees are just the entry point. The guide goes deep into the hidden costs, the technical deliverables.
But right. The biggest one that catches people off guard is the DCP, the digital cinema package.
Can you explain what that is for listeners who haven't finished a film yet? It's not just a QuickTime file, right?
Oh, no, not at all. A DCP is a specialized set of files, video, audio, and data streams wrapped in a specific format that digital cinema projectors read. It involves Linux formatting, specific color space conversions. It's very technical.
Okay.
It ensures your film looks exactly the same in a theater in Berlin as it does in Tokyo. But creating a verified high-quality DCP costs money. You're looking at $150 to $800 depending on the length in the lab.
And for 2026, we notice a massive shift in requirements regarding accessibility.
It's not a nice-to-have anymore. It is mandatory. We're talking open captions, closed captions, and increasingly, audio descriptions for the visually impaired. Captioning costs about $3 to $10 per minute, depending on if you need translation.
So you have to budget for that.
If you haven't budgeted for this, you are going to be scrambling when a festival accepts you and demands these assets within 48 hours.
And then the monster cost, travel, because the networking doesn't happen if you aren't in the room.
Precisely. If you get into a major festival like SXSW, you need to fly there, stay there for 5 days, and hotels during festivals are triple the normal rate. You have to eat, you have to buy drinks for people. That is easily $1,000 to $3,000 per event.
Per event.
If you plan to attend 5 festivals, that's a $15,000 line item that most people leave out of their production budget.
Is there any relief here? We looked at the funding landscape for 2025 and 2026.
There is money out there. National agencies like the British Council or Vic Screen in Australia are very active with travel grants. But, and this is a key insight, these grants are increasingly tied to specific metrics. They want to see diversity, they want to see environmental sustainability plans, and they want to see those accessibility assets we just talked about.
So if you want the travel grant to pay for your flight, you better have your closed captions done and your green production report ready.
Exactly. It's all connected. The festivals want it, the funders want it. It's the new baseline for the industry.
Okay, let's assume you've budgeted, you've got your strategy, now you have to actually submit. We spent a lot of time in the guide talking about the submission package itself, and there was one technical thing that every single programmer we interviewed mentioned as the #1 deal breaker.
Sound. It is always sound.
Which is surprising, because people obsess over cameras and lenses.
But think about the programmer's experience. They are watching hundreds of films a week. It's cognitive load. If the dialogue is muddy or the levels are jumping all over the place, it is physically exhausting to watch. We call it the unwatchable factor.
Right.
You can have a beautiful 8K image, but if the mix is bad, they will turn it off in 2 minutes. Do not give them a technical reason to say no.
And beyond the film itself, the marketing assets in the package need to be professional. We listed the non-negotiables: logline, short synopsis, high-res stills.
And please, high-res means print quality, landscape and portrait.
Yeah.
I see so many filmmakers submit a blurry screenshot or a dark image that looks okay on a phone but terrible on a monitor. These assets are what the festival uses to market your film for you if you get in.
Yeah, that's their toolkit.
If your assets look amateur, they might hesitate to program you because they don't think you can support the screening.
In the logline, it needs to hook them. You have, what, 2 sentences to make them care?
Right, it's the sales pitch. If you can't explain your movie in 2 sentences, you don't know what your movie's about yet.
As far as tools go, FilmFreeway is obviously the industry standard.
It's the central hub. And honestly, for our listeners who are heavy submitters, the gold membership is worth the math. It saves you money on fees. But we also note that you shouldn't sleep on the European platforms like FestHome or Short Film Depot if you're targeting that market specifically.
Which brings us back to that God spreadsheet.
It is the most important tool you have. Deadlines, fee variations, premiere requirements, specific notes on what the programmer likes. You cannot keep this in your head. It has to be a living document. We actually include a template for this in the full guide.
Let's fast forward. You've been accepted. You're going to the festival. This is where we argue a mindset shift has to happen. You stop being a director and start being a networker.
This is a hard pivot for a lot of creative types who are introverted. But when you are on the ground, the priority shifts. The parties are fun, but the priority is the programmers, the sales agents, and your future collaborators.
You're there to work.
You are there to work. You are there to find the person who's going to produce your next movie.
On the flip side, how do you handle the people who didn't accept you? The rejection.
Gracefully. We cannot stress this enough. Do not email a programmer asking, why didn't I get in?
Yeah.
They don't have time to give feedback, and it makes you look difficult.
And that programmer who rejected your short film today might be running the feature selection committee at Sundance in 3 years.
Exactly. Do not burn that bridge. It's a long game. We heard stories of filmmakers sending angry emails, and those emails get forwarded. Suddenly, you're known as the difficult one before you've even made your first feature.
Speaking of the long game, let's talk about sales and distribution in the 2026 landscape. The guide paints a pretty sober picture here.
It's a reality check. Sales agents are extremely cautious right now. The days of signing a film just on vibes or because they like the director's look are over. They look for data. They want to see audience buzz. They want to see press reviews, social engagement. They want proof of concept before they sign.
And there's a specific warning we included about signing too early.
Do not sign with the first agent who calls you. A bad sales agent is worse than no sales agent. They can tie up your rights for years, charge you marketing expenses that eat up any profit, and deliver zero revenue.
Right.
You have to vet their track record, call other filmmakers they represent, ask them, did this person actually sell your movie?
That leads right into the legal side, the festival cut myth. We have to debunk this every year.
It is the zombie myth of independent film. We hear it all the time. I can use this Rolling Stones song because it's just a festival cut. I'm not selling it yet. No, you cannot.
Because a festival screening is a public performance.
Correct. You need sync and master use licenses. If you don't have them, you are legally exposed to a lawsuit. But more importantly, no distributor will touch a film with uncleared music. It's a legal trap that makes your film unsellable.
So you're spending thousands to market a product you can't even sell?
Exactly. Clear your rights or use library music. It's not worth the risk.
So finally, let's wrap up with the future trends we identified for 2025 and 2026. What are we seeing on the horizon?
Hybrid models are here to stay. That geo-fenced online screening that started during the pandemic, it's now a standard revenue stream for festivals. You need to be prepared for that in your contracts.
Okay.
Also, XR and immersive. If you are working in VR or AR, the categories are exploding. It's no longer a sidebar. It's a main event at places like Venice and Tribeca.
And we even touched on Web3 innovation in the guide, using the BlockReel Film Festival as a case study. It's a really interesting model.
It's a glimpse of what a decentralized circuit looks like. It's token-gated, meaning the community, the ticket holders, actually curate the selection via quadratic voting.
Which is basically a voting method that measures how strongly someone feels about a film, not just a simple yes-no.
Right. It removes the traditional gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And the payments are on-chain streaming revenue goes 80% to the creator instantly. There's no waiting 6 months for a check that never comes. It's transparent.
It's exciting to see new models emerging while we master the traditional ones.
It is. But whether it's a Web3 festival or con, the core truth remains. You need a strategy. You need to know why you are there, who you are talking to, and how you are paying for it.
So for everyone listening, the takeaway is that the work isn't done when you call cut. In many ways, that's when the real work begins. The festival circuit is a business, and you need to run your campaign like a CEO.
Exactly. Don't let the administrative side kill the creative potential. Master the strategy so the film can do what it was meant to do. Be seen.
That wraps today's episode. For the complete guide with detailed breakdowns and templates, visit our blog at blockreeldow.com/loglog. Subscribe to our channel for daily episodes covering directing, screenwriting, cinematography, VFX, color grading, and production design. Thanks for listening, and keep creating.